Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has finally happened. The error store has been updated, at least for me in game, and it should be for most of the world now. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to assess things, and we should be answering that age-old question. What should you be spending your error currency on? Smashing. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another video with me, your bald-headed boy scribe. How the devil are we all doing on this fine and fantastic? I want to say it's a Tuesday. Not just your everyday Tuesday, no, it's a Tuesday of special import. A Tuesday, no less, than we have had an update to our shipment tabs, bringing in a rather juicy upgrade. I absolutely do really much love this. As you can see, there were no lies told in that recent post. We talked about this a little bit, about this update to this store and how important it is for developing relics, because look at what we've had added to the error shipments. The error shipments used to be your coaxial servo motors, which you need for Relic 10. Then it would be your Erodium Lightspeed tokens, which are a fantastic catch-up mechanic for those in the early, mid, and to a certain degree the late game. And then the Carbonite Lightspeed tokens, which are almost a trap. Almost. They're very, very cheap and can save you a lot of Chirotech. So these things are all still very valuable. We'll answer the first question. Who should be purchasing coaxial servo motors? Generally speaking, I advise almost nobody gets these right now, okay? Currently, there are no requirements. The only people, in my opinion, that should be focusing on getting coaxial servo motors are those that fit into two categories. The first and foremost would be the endgame whaley boy looking to maximize the number of relic tons in their account. Do you have to do this? No. Is it fun to do this? Well, yeah, probably. We all know my good friend Carthrick. He is rocking somewhere in the region of 40 or 50 Relic 10s at this point, and I've just seen him take about 5 today to Relic 10. He's having a good time. So if you are in that late game position and you're a whaley boy and you are dominating in your Colosseum shard and you're having a good time, then sure, go ahead. Throw some on your coaxial servo motors, get your Galactic Legends to Relic 10, maybe think about your error units, taking them to Relic 10. Apart from the late game's mega whale, the only other person that I recommend farms at least some of these coaxial servo motors, and you don't need a lot, are those people that are whaling on the new error system, okay? If you are whaling your way through to get, for example, Rot of the Hut at the end of this era, we know that error battles, much to CG's mistake earlier, I don't know if it's still here in the events tab. Yeah, we still have Ignite the Spark here. Not Ignite the Spark, sorry. Which one was it? Ah, this one, Shattered Empire. We can't even do this because these require the units that we are currently farming. They're not even in our legacy roster. Can't even do this. This is the error battle that, one of the two error battles that we are going to see once this era ends, okay? They're even using the old Dark Disciple one, or Dark Decimation, I think it was called, error battle background art. This was clearly a faux pas, and CG have acknowledged as such. Now, if you are getting Rot of the Hut, we know that next era, this will be one of the two error battles that drops, and honestly, the rewards for top tier on these are phenomenal. However, in order to gain access to tier 8, which has the very best rewards, you need to have a Relic 10 Journey Guide unit from that era. So last time it was Cassian, this upcoming time it's going to be Rot of the Hut. And you can see that just by jumping into Shattered Empire, Carson Tiva, Zeb Aurelius, Rot of the Hut, go to the back, own Rot of the Hut at Relic 10, Captain Tiva, R5 and Zeb at Relic 9 to unlock. Really, really big whaley boy investment. However, it does pay for itself in terms of Relic 10. As you can see, you go over here, you get 5 girder keypads, 5 droid brains, and 5 coaxial servo motors. You need 20, and this will run a total of 6 times for, it'll run 6 times, because there's going to be 2 essentially. Shattered Empire will run 6 times, and whatever the other equivalent for the remaining characters will run 6 times. Total of 12 runs. If you're getting 5 servo motors per run over the total 12 runs, you're getting 60. So you spend 20 coaxial servo motors, you get 60 back for a net gain of 40. You do lose out on things like girder keypads and droid brains, but you're also going to gain yourself an extra 12,000 crystals as well. It's a very good investment, to be honest, but only really suitable for those endgame super mega whaley people, or those newer players that are just whaling on error content because they like getting the new stuff. And you won't hear a complaint out of me about those people that want to do it. Okay, so that sort of covers the people that should be investing in coaxial servo motors. Now, you do not need a lot. Like I said, if you are going for error units, the journey guide unit, and getting ready for those error battles, right, has to be immediate. You've got to do it straight away, otherwise you lose a lot of the value. You only need to have enough for one coaxial servo motor to take your Rot of the Hut, for example, up to relic 10. So you only need 20, which means over a course of 3 months, you're okay. You're okay, because that will give you an extra 3, and that technically pays for the next errors R10, and it just becomes a perpetual cycle of paying for itself, right? Okay, so who should be buying Erodium Lightspeed tokens? If you're in the early game, these are really, really good. These are really, really good catch-up mechanics. You can use these to, like, catapult your development towards unlocking legendary units and galactic legends, all right? Now, the good thing about these is they do update over time. Currently, you can get to everything up to Era of the Revenge of the Sith or earlier, which is really, really good. All right, so that means you can get Jedi Master Mace Windu's requirements up. You get the Dark Side clones, you can get Depa Billaba, you can get Temple Guard, you can get the new Bad Batch, you can get everything from before then. The next one, when they update this again in about 3 months' time, it should include the Pirates, so you'll start to work towards Pirate King Hondo. So if you're in that position of you're working on all of your Journey Guide unlocks to try and get your legendary units, these things are phenomenal for catapulting your progress forward, okay? So the person that's in the early to mid game, this is where your focus is. Now, in the end game, if you are not that massive end game whale, and all you're interested in is keeping on top of your current farms, this is where I think your error currency should be going. You should be spending it on stuff like impulse detectors, aero magnifiers, even Gerda keypads to a certain degree, potentially droid brains, and definitely flawed signal data in my opinion. Flawed signal data is the most annoying signal data to farm. We're always farming it and we always need more of it, especially if you are relicking a lot of units in the late game. It's also very, very flippin' cheap. A quick interrupt before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to let everybody know I really do appreciate you all for watching this video, and I'm hoping it's very helpful to you. I'd like to make a quick promise to you people at home. If you hit that subscribe button and become a member of the tribe, then I'm going to try my best to bring you the most valuable content for this game that you possibly have, and maybe potentially even entertain you a little bit along the way. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really improves my channel, really helps me out a lot. Thank you so much. So because it's so cheap, I feel like this isn't really going to impact most people farming their Colosseum Journey Guide stuff, right? Getting 1,250 of your error currency every week, is quite easy. My free-to-play alt account hovers between that 300 to 600 error currency per day through Colosseum. Over the course of the week then, what does that look at? That's like, you know, around about 2,000. Let's just call it 2,000 error currency a week. So it gives me a little bit left over that can feed into other things. I could, of course, try to save it up for these other things here, but honestly, I feel like the signal data is actually the crunch point for that account. Now, in my endgame account that I'm currently on, things like impulse detectors, aero magnifiers, Gerda keypads, droid brains, these are very, very annoying to keep on top of. So each week when I'm going through, this account gets about 1,500 to 3,000 per day. I should be able to get most of this. If you are right at the top of your error Colosseum, and you've got a little bit of a supply of coaxial servo motors, enough to keep you ticking over, just ignore everything else and try to purchase all of these things. I would start with the flawed signal data and then work your way up, probably focusing on the more painful areas, right? I know it doesn't sound like impulse detectors is a painful area, but honestly, when you relic up a lot and you start getting your roster to that position where you have just so many sort of relic 7s and relic 5s, those impulse detectors become a massive, massive bottleneck, right? So, for example, just trying to take my lovely boy, Mr. Malicos, over here up to Relic 9. I'd like to take him to Relic 10. That would be great fun, but Relic 10 is still a little bit too much to deal with right now. Being able to do this multiple times, right? Taking whole teams up to Relic 7, Relic 8, Relic 9, you really start to feel the crunch on impulse detectors. Trust me, like those 20, I've got 98 right now. That's enough nearly for 5 units, right? And if I wanted to get some more, of course I could go into the scavenger node, right? I could go into the scavenger node and I could start getting rid of this gear. You can see I don't have a lot of it. The reason I don't have a lot of it is because I did a lot of relicking and I've used up all my gear. I do, of course, get top in my Order 66 raid. I max out the personal scores on the Order 66 raid, and the guild maxes out the guild reward crate. So I'm getting the maximum amount of Mark III guild currency right now, which of course does translate into getting more impulse detectors. I'm always buying aeromags, impulse detectors, zimbiddles, electriums, because all of these become such a crunch, right? Just constantly having to spend. You can see I've got no more Mark III raid currency tokens right now. So it becomes a real issue. So buying things like impulse detectors is just going to help. It's that little bit of an additional help. You could look at this as that's 1 day of being in the top 10. That's 1.5 days of being in the top 10. So we're at 2.5 days. That's, we could say it's 2 days. 2 days of being in the top 10. It's not actually 2 days. It's less than that, right? So you're at 3.5 days, and then we could call that another 2 days. So it's, 5.5 days, and that's like half a day, 6 days. So every week, if you are in the top 10, you could easily actually purchase every single one of these every single week, which is great. If you are not in the top 10, right, and you're only getting, say, the top 30, so you're getting your 1,500 error currency per week, per day. If you spread that over the entire week, what are you looking at? 5 times 1,500 is 7,500 plus an additional 3,000. You're looking at 10,500. So just try and chop and change where you spend it on. Personally, because I don't do enough relic 9s right now, I don't use a heck of a lot of Gerda keypads. They're low right now because I took the entirety of the last era to relic 9 and relic 10, right? That's why they're so low. And of course, I do also break these down in the scavenger. I do come over here and I do spend, it's usually fusion furnaces that I break down because that's what I farm every day on my fleet energy. Farm that to get fusion furnaces to break them down into Gerda keypads. You can see how bad the conversion rate is. I can only get an extra 49. I know I can only double up right now, but they are very expensive. I never use my Mark III raid currency getting Gerda keypads. They're just too expensive when you compare them to things like aeromags and impulse detectors, in my opinion. Now, I haven't run a direct comparison math on this to see how it works out, but if you look here, aeromags are actually cheaper than impulse detectors. So technically speaking, if only this shipment, because it's the other way around here, right? Impulse detectors are actually cheaper than aeromags. So you're technically better off using your error currency to buy impulse detectors, Mark III currency to buy aeromags. You're getting the cheapest of both, right? But unfortunately, over the course of a week, 10 isn't enough. Do you know what I mean? That's every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, you'll be able to go up 1 relic 9. It's not really enough. Not really enough. But yeah. I would definitely say try to prioritize where you need it. Gerda keypads, honestly, I would just, because we don't really need Gear 12 very much anymore, no matter where you are in the game, right? The only people that need Gear 12 gear, realistically speaking, is at the end of an era if you happen to be taking up those units and you're a free-to-play player, or if you're still unlocking your Galactic Legends, your Journey Guide units and that sort of thing. You don't need a heck of a lot of Gear 12 plus pieces anymore. So you can use those to break down into Gerda keypads. And then you can save your Mark III raid currency to get aero magnifiers, and then potentially you could use some of your error currency to get things like impulse detectors. Droid brains you can get quite comfortably by breaking down Chirotech if you're in that position, right? If you're in that position that you don't really need to worry about gear. A lot of us won't have to worry about gear anymore, okay? Specifically Chirotech, because you're only really spending it on new conquest units. If you're at the very late game and you've unlocked everything, you can just, break these down, get a load of them. If you're in a late game guild, you'll be earning quite a bit of Chirotech through territorial battles and stuff like that. So it all works out in the end. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to about wrap it up for today's video. If it was helpful to you, please do give me a like and a comment down below on what you will be purchasing, and I will see you all in the very next video. Peace out, and may the Force be with you.